Welcome back into the final segment here of the College Chaos podcast with Garrett Ross and Jack Mackenzie. And Jack, let's talk a little round ball, man. Kansas State coming to Waco. Jerome Tang making his way back after being with Scott Drew for over 20-something years and building a dynasty, really. Not necessarily a dynasty, but one of the top programs in the nation as far as it goes when you look at men's basketball and national championship. And going to Kansas State, I was really excited. I was really happy for Coach Tang. Obviously, you don't want to see somebody depart that you really like, but at the same time, you wish them well. You want to see him. I think that Coach Tang has been in a position where he could be a head coach at any program in the nation for about a decade now. And I think that he finally found the right fit for him. A great program who was established with Kansas State, even going back to Frank Martin. Right before he headed to South Carolina, and I don't even know where he's at now. I can't remember if he's still at South Carolina or not.
I'm not sure either, but, I mean, Jerome really timed that up perfectly. I mean, jumping straight into the best conference in college basketball, and he's starting off hot.
He really is, dude. When you look at Kansas State right now, man, they're 13-1. They're 2-0 in the Big 12, and they are coming off their biggest win in program history as they go into Austin and knock off the Longhorns 116-103. I was really shocked. And look, I'm not taking anything away from Kansas State, but Texas is a really good program with a lot of
stuff
distractions
going on right
now. To say going around there. A lot of stuff
going on.
But I mean,
Kansas State shut the lights out.
That's the thing. Marquise Knoll went off. He had a career-high 36 points. He hit 6 threes, dude. He had 9 assists. And Keontae Johnson balled out. He had 28 points, 9 boards, 5 assists. And I don't think that look, Kansas State is going to score on almost anybody, night in and night out. I just do not see how you could put that type of performance together back-to-back, and especially against a Baylor team who right now – They're like a wounded animal.
Oh,
like
very much.
They cannot. This is a must win. This is nut up or shut up time if you're Baylor coming Saturday when the Wildcats make their way to Waco.
Honestly, they not just a wounded animal. They seem like a wounded puppy. They need to find that dog in them. I'm sorry, but like they don't seem like when their back's against the wall, they're gonna lash out. Seems like they're going to cover up and try and cover up like a good boxer, but they're not going to be ready to hit you with that counter punch.
No, and look, I think a lot of Baylor, when I watch them, the defense by the guards at times is suspect, Keontae in particular, and I think that comes from being young. I think that comes from being so used to playing AAU basketball and being the best person on the court that you not necessarily didn't have to play defense.
AAU basketball is just a different beast.
It is. And I think that kind of negatively hinders a lot of guys, not just him, but a lot of guys that come out of that circuit in general.
I see the way I see it is your biggest guard, your most athletic guard is Keontae, the guy who's probably played the least defense against high-level competition in his life. Your second best is Adam Flagler. Who's your point guard? He's got to be focused on running that offense. And then the third option here out of your starters is LJ Cryer, the smallest guy who's dealt with the most injuries lately. So that's not a good recipe. Like, your best defender on the team is probably Dale Bonner, who's coming off the bench.
Oh, hold on. You're the leader of the Dale Bonner fan club. so talk a little bit about Dale. What makes him so special from a defensive standpoint?
Defensive-wise, he is where the athleticism meets the desire and probably a little bit of the risk-taking. He likes to jump those passing lanes. He could get a bit better at staying in front of defenders on drives, and everyone on the Baylor team could get better at help side defense. But at this point, it's looking like Baylor's going to have to go away from being able to play Bonner because he just doesn't have the offensive production that can get him minutes on a team that is going to have to just try and outscore people.
Do you think that at this point with, I guess, the defensive inefficiencies, that Scott Drew kind of reverts back to that zone mentality and they try to give the 2-3 a work?
I don't think you can revert to zone right now. I am by no means so on stickin365.com, the site that we both write for Baylor for. Kendall Kaut, he is our big basketball expert. Follow Kendall if you want insight on Baylor basketball. Follow Kendall if you just want to know more about basketball.
Yes.
But in my opinion, my less educated opinion, I think that it is too late in the season, unless they've repped plenty of zone, to start throwing that into these young guys' head. You need young guys like Josh O. You need young guys like Keontae and like Langston to step up here and to be better and to get it figured out on both ends of the court. So I don't think you can start throwing them into the deep end of, we're going to change up our defenses a lot. I think you just have to find the 2 or 3 variations of a man defense that work best for those guys, that they know this is where I need to be when, and this is how I react to this and that. So I don't think going to zone, as much as it might, it's not even a crutch. It's not a crutch Drew goes back to. It's a fun toy at this point, and I just don't think they can use it this year.
I think when I look at this team, what really kind of makes me a little nervous is the play of their big men. When you go back and look at that national championship team, you had Jonathan Tomochacho out there, and unfortunately he's dealt with an injury that we would love to see him back. I wish him nothing but the best and everything. But you had Flo. Flo, man, I know Flo is the winningest player in program history, but he's so inconsistent.
Something is off with him this year. And I'm not sure if he's regressed, because he took a clear step up after Chacho went down last year. And I just don't know if he stepped back, he's missing something. He is not what he was in the back half of last year, and Baylor needed him this year to be like that Flo Thamba, and he just has not been that.
No, he's airball a dunk Flo Thamba right now, and we can't have that. Like, you cannot have that. I don't care. And look,
it's like a 50% chance of a turnover. You throw it to him on the roll.
It is.
You can't have that.
No, and I think when you look at a guy like Caleb Lohner coming over from BYU, I wasn't big on this. I know me and you had talked in the preseason that you liked the move. I really was kind of suspect of it. And I think you're seeing right now where I can't remember what game it was earlier in the year. It was on the road. And I'm watching him go for loose balls, and he's getting thrown around like a rag doll. And I'm like, dude, you got to get in the weight room. You've got to be more aggressive.
It's so weird.
I can't figure it out. Like,
he looks like he should not be thrown around like that. But there's something for him that's not clicking right now. You can see it. You could see it, especially Wednesday night against TCU. You could just kind of see it on his face. There were a couple of mistakes he made where he just, something's not clicking. Mm-hmm. And for his sake, for Baylor's sake, you hope it starts clicking. But that's why Kansas State scares me as a Baylor writer, as a Baylor alum. Kansas State is looking scary coming into this one, because I think they are so bought in. They believe in what Jerome Tang is teaching them, preaching to them, and they might end up being a more cohesive team, and that's why they could pull this one out here in Waco.
I think they can, and I really feel like Baylor's guards, they have the better guards in this matchup. Look, and that's not to take anything away from guys like Noel and them, but I think it's really going to come down to in the paint. It's going to come down to your physicality. Baylor's really got to step up. They need somebody to really come in and be that Mark Vital, and be that glue guy, be Freddie Gillespie. Like, get some heart,
man. The villain.
Exactly.
Mark Vital, like, it's his brand. He embraced that villain, and like, not in like a way that goes against Scott Drew and all the joy stuff.
No,
but like I actually asked in a press conference earlier this year. I asked LJ Cryer, who is that? Is there someone who has that? I didn't say that dog in him, but I was like,
that mentality.
There a guy who's going to step up and like embrace being the villain, kind of. He's like, and he said there are some guys who could. But no one's really done. That's not a good. That's not the answer you want.
No,
that's not the answer you want.
That's what concerns me about this team,
and that's what was honestly concerning last year.
Yeah,
because like Akinjo, as much as he's got that dog in him, he's kind of the quiet dog. You know it's there. But there's not even that guy on this team. There's not even the quiet dog on this team.
To me, nobody on that team last year showed the dog until the tournament play. I think that's
you can't deny the dog with that showing against that comeback against North Carolina. But otherwise, it was another year that felt a lot like this. And you can't wait for the tournament to turn that on. You can't. The dog is not something you turn on and off.
No.
You wake up and you are the dog.
So right now, Baylor is 0-2 in conference play. Not ideal. When you look at this matchup, what is the key to Baylor coming away victorious, and what's the score you're looking at if you're going into this game?
Baylor's got to score 80 to win. They have to score 80 to win. And I think that's just going to be a blanket statement for the rest of the year unless that defense all of a sudden figures something out.
Does the Tang factor come into Baylor's heads at all?
Baylor's heads, personally, I don't think so. I don't think they're worried about it. I think they're like, great, love to see him. We've got to keep doing our thing. I think they're really going to be focused on themselves as much as they can. Obviously, you have to hit the scouting report and all, but I don't think they're worried about offensively or defensively Jerome having any extra insight. They've put so much film on tape this year. The team is there's so much turnover from the team from last year already. If there's pressure on anyone, I think there's pressure on Tang to come in and have a good showing. Not even win, but just to have a good showing against his old mentor. Show that, he's not the student anymore.
Yep. It's a good point, man. Well, that's going to be all for us today. We appreciate everyone tuning in to the inaugural episode of the College Chaos podcast. We're going to come back next week. We're going to try to do this, maybe twice a week?
Yeah, probably twice a week from here on out.
Yeah, I like that idea. So, Jack, where can people find you at on social media and find your work?
On Twitter, I'm at JackMac1998. Photography stuff, I'm on Instagram at Jack_Mackenzie 2 underscores. And we're gonna get a Twitter set up for this podcast, and it's gonna be fun. We're gonna be putting out a lot of stuff. Hope you guys come along for the ride.
Yeah, and you can find me on Twitter at _Garrett Ross. I usually have articles out there weekly, daily, pretty much. And then obviously, go like, subscribe, follow all of our family of shows as we continue to grow this company, 365 Sports and Sickle365.com. But that's going to do it. We appreciate y'all listening, and we'll catch y'all next week.